All right, hello and welcome back. So I should also explain this has been my world for a while. I've done this, I think, all of the quote unquote seasons. And if I seem a little rushed when I talk, it's because I used to just ramble for hours at a time, like around like 1.5 to 2 hours, I want to say, when I did like season one. So if you ever get bored, and you have a lot of time on your hands, they're worth looking at because that is still a bunch of stuff. Like my constant thinking is constantly processing all of the things that I'm trying to do, all of the problems I'm trying to solve, all of the things I'm trying to accomplish in my lifetime. Oh, and this is a very important thing. So, Colorado State University has this wonderful statue there that says, I saw what I saw because I stood on the shoulders of giants. Now, honestly, I don't know if that's the exact quote, but that's what it means. And I don't even know who said it. I want to say it's Newton or something, but it's not important. I mean, I respect the guy. Great, but I honestly believe that the more important thing, and this is also from the perspective, if I'm thinking, like, let's say heaven's real, and we will talk in religious terms a little bit, and I apologize, I don't know too much about Islam, but I know that they have a lot of the same stuff, and I don't know too much about Judaism, but I know they have a lot of the same stuff, and same with Hindi or Hindu. Sorry, Hindi is the language, and then Hindu is I want to say religion, but then also Hinduism, or I don't know. India has some religions, and then there's other religions too. And there's even Satanism, which I still don't know about that one. Like instantly, I want to say like, oh, that's for people that are intentionally trying to seek out the negative of a society and worship it, or they're trying to be ironic, or I don't know. There's a few things it could be. Remember, my high school mascot was a devil, and we loved it. We wore red. We were, and I did football, so I was on I was one of the jockey type people. I got to wear my football jersey every Friday on a game day for all of high school, mind you. Didn't matter. In fact, all of middle school too. So already I had like the popularity check for that because it was easy to do. All you had to do was show up. And you could do that with big schools too, but that is a lot of sacrifice just to get beat up and then maybe even get picked on within the team. Although, granted, we tried to not do that. We made it an effort to, like, we would mentor younger football players. Like, everybody had a senior, and that senior would guide you. So, right there, it had accountability to, like, yeah, we beat up on the freshmen, but we tried to go easy on them. And it was hard. It was like you had to be strong. You had to we spent a lot of time in the gym, lifting a lot of weights. And right there, that solved a lot of problems down the road too, because I found it a lot easier to talk to girls because I was a lot more confident. But also, I mean, I always had a belly. Let's get that out of the way too. I've always been a little chubby. I was a lineman. I wasn't a quarterback. I wasn't a receiver. In fact, I kind of secretly hated them a little bit too because it was like, show offs or they get the glory. But then we were still a team at the end of the day. So I put my petty, grumblings aside and been like, in fact, quarterback especially because I was the left tackle. So the quarterback's protection was specifically my responsibility. Because I was supposed to stay behind and make sure if it was a pass play, I had to slow down and make sure that nobody got to the quarterback. Not just the dude in front of me, but whoever else. And let's get this clear too. I don't think women should play football. I think it's dangerous. And I think that's a dumb idea. There was a girl that played football, and she got injured. I'm pretty sure we actually injured a person almost every game. So that's another thing. We had like a Texas style football team because we didn't have a lot going on up in Buena Vista. Like football was it. And you either played football or you watched the football, and you supported and I don't know. So already there's some resentment for wearing that big red jersey, It's like a big red target, kind of like a big red MAGA hat, Sorry, it's just something easily grouped for people. Now that's good and bad. So for marketing purposes and for political purposes, yeah, that worked out great for Trump because it's easy to group that group together. However, look at all the negative stuff. It's really easy to group that group together. Now anybody wearing a MAGA hat is subject to ridicule and, harassment, which is, and I don't condone that. If anything, like a look is plenty. That's all it needs to be. And even then, that's almost a bit much. Like I can ignore a MAGA hat as long as they don't say "Hey, dude." But see, that's the thing too. And think about that right there. Like even that look, that's a tell. And anybody that pays attention to those, like say people in poor situations that have to depend on that, does my job depend on that? Do my relationships depend on this? All of these things that could have life-changing events at the drop of a hat because the economy is just so weird up there. Like again, I'm talking Buena Vista, because everybody was poor up there. except for not, because there were certain families that were super wealthy, particularly religious families. Now, maybe they just had their stuff in order. Maybe their family actually devoted enough to where there's a whole family working together to settle up there versus, like my family technically considered pioneers, which is a nifty feature where you can show off that your family bloodline is one of the original people that lived in Colorado and called it home. So yeah, you're talking to or you're listening to a Colorado pioneer. And you know what I'm gonna do? I'm not gonna buy the license plate that says it. But I could, and I've thought about it. So like, you know what? Like seeing these native stickers, and again, that's wildly offensive to Native Americans. But at the same time, it's also offensive to Coloradans for Californians and Texans to move out here. Ah, see, that's the other thing too. Is like, not really. I mean, ski resorts, yeah, like we used to have a thing against Texans. Like we used to like be rivals and stuff. It was more of a playful rivalry for the most part, like siblings fighting. But and same with California too. But that's why Boulder is the way Boulder is because a lot of people realize that the lifestyles of the rich and famous out in California were too lavished to be realistic expectations, and so they started migrating out this way. And I don't blame them. Like those six-figure salaries of Google employees and San Francisco being like, now there's all these problems with like people experiencing homelessness and like and so many people are just one step away from living out of a shopping cart and they don't realize it until it hits, and then it's like, oh, whoa, like, you know, I could be one of those people. So right there, I feel like, and there's some big wake up calls that happen from COVID. And I'm not saying it's good, like, but at the same time, I am kind of saying it's good. Like, I'm glad it happened, but I wish it wasn't so extreme. But at the same time, if it wasn't so extreme, like how would a lot of these people realize that markets and economies now, and here's a little background again. So I said that my degree was an applied computing technology degree, which is like 75% computer science, 25% business. Now that business, I really honestly believe, in fact I think I've heard this from my professors, the computer science ones especially, like say, it's just not feasible. You can't pay these people six-figure salaries every year after year and live comfortably without making some drastic changes. Like, look at Amazon. Amazon requires absolute perfection in their money handling tools. And now what do they do with it? Well, they got to pay all these really expensive engineers like salaries, and they can't just fire them like once they get tired of paying them, or they try to lay off and they try to get younger people in. But then that's seen as super evil. And I'm not saying Amazon does this. I'm not saying they don't. I'm saying a lot of computer companies do. And that's just what you need to know if you're trying to get into a tech career is just that it's very volatile by nature because people are very expensive now. And this is where these videos come in. And also I have a whole playlist on how to learn Python programming. It's only like 4 or 5 videos now, maybe 6, but I really go in depth and explain like how to fix certain problems, how to do problem solving. And that's what most of the textbooks are called when you try to learn computer science, that you have to use these textbooks that say things like problem solving with C or problem solving with Java. Sorry. Anyways, and it still all goes back to I think everybody needs a computer science understanding, and that's why I'm so hopeful for the future is because guess what? Oh, I also have a lot of friends and family that are teachers in public school. So, and poor, mind you, super poor. Like, but at the same time, not. But still, by even like American standards, they're not homeless, but they have enough student debt to where they could be homeless at the drop of a hat, too. If those debts came due, and they will still continue to be chained to that debt. And it's out of necessity, too, because it is well known that if you don't get a college degree, your options for a career are severely limited to either spending many years as like some other function in a company and putting up with a lot of hardship and really struggling, which is why a lot of people, the MAGA specifically, supporters, like those types of people. And again, I'm not trying to say that all of them think the same exact way because that's not fair. Each state is vastly different from every other state. And so that's why, even as an American, I understand that what might be right for some is not right for others. And that's why we see a lot less of the federal government. But then we got this thing, the whole abortion thing, like, oof, that is like, people get mad when you try to talk about that. And if you don't side with them right away. And and it's, ugh. I'm trying to untangle this set of chords, and it is vital that we untangle that set of chords. because every one of my, the people that I vote for generally, not everyone, sorry, there are some outliers even within the Democrats, like, they're all in favor of abortion. At least like, and if not abortion, like here's the easy thing to say you're in favor of, healthcare. If you're in favor of healthcare, then you could get contraceptives, and that would eliminate the majority of abortions, like that are the ones that are being targeted by the church, because a lot of their argument is, well, their argument is all of them are bad and it's killing someone, killing a child. But and I'm not going to argue that one way or the other. Well, actually, I will say this. I think it's my understanding is when the brain starts actually functioning. But I don't know if there's a soul. And I grew up thinking that there was because that's what I was told. But then at the same time, I was also told, but let's not focus on that because of the whole women thing. Like, and then you hear Lauren Boebert, because I do follow some of, well, she's a Coloradoan and in government. So I'm like, kind of got to keep tabs on that one. And she's like saying that women are the lesser vessel. And already right there, I disagree. Like women create life, they nurture life. And that's what this whole argument about like what is a woman thing, like why so many women are offended with transsexuals now, is like they're taking over what a woman is. And but that's not what they're trying to do. They're not trying to push the women out. They're trying to really, it's like, I don't know, it's like impression is a form of flattery and that whole thing. But then like a lot of people are seeing it as like, because it's not, it goes against the Bible. Like, I mean, the only thing the Bible really says is like, thou shalt not lay with, like, if a man shall not lay with a man, like, or a woman shall not lay with a woman. It doesn't say anything about like, if a man decides to change into a woman, then, where are the rules for that? They don't exist because that wasn't even on their radar. Like now, if you had like Jesus and the disciples here, like, sorry, also sometimes I stutter because my mind is going a little too fast and my mouth has to catch up. But anyways, no, like if Jesus was here like today, say he comes walking down the street with his disciples, he would lose his mind. But at the same time, he would have to learn a lot of things. He'd be like, oh, okay, well now hold on, let me think about that, because now this is a whole new set of problems that they were trying to solve, historical problems, like slavery. I mean, I think they had slaves in the biblical book. I don't know, so I didn't read like that much to the point where I can just rattle off, and like I don't go to church currently, so I don't have it drilled into my mind week after week, so I'm left with what I choose to remember, really. Also, can we burn these, like, or no, they just get sucked down into the, that's right. I have a mechanism for getting rid of these. Let's go and I'll go show you. So this is, I have some pretty neat things that I've seen from a YouTuber named Waddles. Now, Waddles explains everything, has multiple seasons, definitely entertaining. So if you want just Minecraft, definitely go check out Waddles. But for fixing the world problems, yo. Also, let's see. So I did that. Yeah, I like all this other stuff. This is Amethyst, actually, in the city texture pack. But yeah, and I have a whole episode where I uploaded a part where I came into an Amethyst geode after discovering 2 spawners in one area. But for now, let's see. Let's go ahead and transport this. Let's get some more emeralds. What I was doing is, since I'm kind of doing like the intro, I wanted to just kind of, yeah, make sure I get all of that covered, at least, yeah, in the first couple 30 minutes, because then what this show will quickly turn into, yeah, it's the A-Rye channel A-Rye. Oh, and I encourage anyone else to try to do this stuff too. Like, it's super easy with a PlayStation 5 and a TV and an internet connection. And I'm intentionally saying that stuff not to brag, but what I'm saying is that's the investment that I've had to make just to get to here. So, and I pay a recurring internet bill, pretty good, let's say like 80 bucks. No, I'm just kidding. It's like 60 or 70, and it can fluctuate because here in America, so that's what we pay. And, we get so much money. I'm not going to say right now, but like definitely not no 6 figures. And it's, in fact, I don't know any companies that pay the 6 figure salaries up here until you've at least worked there for several years. Like you have to dedicate, at least like half a decade, if not a decade of your life to the company, and then you get those big salaries. So just so everybody understands that, like, I mean, you can come here to the land of the freedom, but it's super expensive. It's super hard work. And that's why a lot of immigrants, like, it's a harsh reality once they get here. But again, I'm all for immigration reform to let everybody come here that wants to, because I learned that we were the melting pot country. And I laugh because that is like anybody who paid attention to that part in school, and like or actually bought into it, because again, people can choose not to buy into things. That's what the whole point of Methodism is. It's a Protestant religion, meaning it's a protesting sect of Christianity. So it's still Jesus, but it's Jesus that's skeptical. Maybe God's a woman, I don't know. I honestly think that makes more sense. But and even saying that to the wrong person and getting them fighting words. So whoops, I had the shovel out, and I made that a path, which also made it shorter. So, anyways, and this is going to be a llama diorama eventually. I've got all these projects that eventually I'm going to do, but right now, like at the end of season 4, I was gearing up to go into non-peaceful mode. And by that, I mean probably hardcore mode, but I want to make absolutely sure that a creeper's not going to come up and blow up something. And if it does, see, I just picture it like right here, just like a creeper, just boom. And then it's not a big deal. Like I could fix it, but this is an aqueduct type, or this is aquaponics actually. Ooh, let's talk about that. So marijuana used to be illegal in Colorado. Okay. So why is that important? Well, I actually know people that used to grow marijuana when it was illegal. Oh, wow. Oof, you didn't turn them into the police? Of course not, dummy. Like, sorry, I won't say that a lot, but like, snitches get stitches. Yeah, okay, that's what they say. But also, no, people that get snitched on go to prison. That's the bigger thing. That's what I'm more concerned about. So I would rather try to help these people. Of course, marijuana I've always considered much less dangerous than alcohol. And why is that, you say? Well, because I've lost my father to alcohol and my grandfather to alcohol. Two people in my life, and grandfather from my mother's side, actually. I should point that out. Which is funny because he was also on a motorcycle. But, you know, drunk driver, middle of the night. Or it could have been. That's actually what we were. It was a hit and run, but like, I don't know. So that's actually assumed. There you go. So that might be a stretch. Causation versus correlation, which is important when you're learning science and just education in general, is how to think, critical thinking. So right there, I will admit that I don't know if alcohol was directly related with my grandfather's death, and that was actually discussed kind of more recently. But I grew up thinking that it was a drunk driver. So that was a bias imposed upon me against alcohol. However, did that stop me from drinking? Heavens no. No, I drank like crazy, but not in church. Okay, so here's another thing. For people that don't know about Christianity, most Christian sects or groups, they have wine, just a little cup, a little thimble, a tiny little cup full of wine every Sunday. And that little cup is alcohol. And that's a substance that can be abused easily, and is legal in most countries, except for Saudi Arabia, I think, is still illegal in Saudi Arabia. But like, we tried prohibition here in America, and it did not go well. We realized that alcohol was dangerous, but yet a lot of people relied on it because life wasn't all that great, so alcohol was a way of coping. It was a coping mechanism. The blood of Christ in the Bible is called wine. Now, that might have been accidental because the point was, every time you drink this wine and eat this bread, you will think of me and you will know peace. I think is like similar to what he actually quote unquote said. But even that, you know, you hear these things about the Bible's written like after they had already died, and it was like all the records compiled together of their diaries or their journals basically, or their musings. And now we're doing something similar here. Definitely not saying that I'm writing like the new Bible by any means, but I am doing a bunch of thinking out loud for people to follow along with, to kind of just to understand and make their best decisions. Because at the end of the day, that's what criminals are people that made poor decisions. That could be anyone. That could be you. That could be me. That could be your parents. That could be your kids. Like, and once you realize that, like, okay, sorry, my specific thing that I'm thinking about right there, but yeah, Biden should put his son in prison for 5 years, but Trump is actually talking about executing drug dealers. So now Biden, what if Biden's hands are tied and pretending that he's all serious on crime like that, but 5 years trying to stress that? So, okay, I could see that. I could see that. But yeah, so, ooh, actually, now I need to correct. Shoot. Now every tweet that I did about that video, I need to go back and say, and now Biden or now Trump wants to execute them. So, gosh, dang it. Sorry. I'm really trying to find like reasons that, because I discuss politics with my friends every now and then, and we talk for as long as we can stand it. And then it's like, because at the end of the day, I mean, I understand why they're mad, because they think that the Democrats just keep spending all this money that they don't have, and then yet they do. But both the Democrats and the Republicans are doing it, either spending or, and that's like finances. And so a lot of people, if you don't go to higher education, you really don't understand finances, or unless you own a business or you run a business. But if you're not in charge and you don't understand the finances, then unless you're good at explaining it. See, I'm also thinking of like one of my best friends, like pretty much my best friend, but I have a lot of like really close friends, I would say. Like pretty much my brother though is what I would consider this one. And then same with my brother from Saudi. But anyways, sorry. Super MAGA, but super smart and understanding. Like, I mean, he actually gets it. And so I understand his concerns and they're totally like, they're valid. But then a lot of it is like, we don't know for sure. It depends on who's lying higher up. So we're given this stuff fed down to us from the politicians. And and Trump goes around and rallies and like he goes to places where people can see because that's how his most of his voter base, like that's how they feel assured about things. Whereas a lot of the people that support Democratic leaders, like Democrats still do the tours. I saw Obama here in Fort Collins. He came and spoke. Although I think I saw him. I was up in the nosebleed section and I didn't really care that much. And then, it's like it was pretty busy and a lot of people came to see him. But at the same time, like I don't know. I feel more comfortable that the laws are doing what they're supposed to be, and so I don't have to do a lot of fact checking, but I do. I mean, I still sometimes it's begrudgingly because I hate to fact check unless I have to, but it's like, you know, I don't know. I feel like I haven't found out as much. An easy one to point out is Jon Stewart and the pit victims of a recent thing that current Republicans opposed because they said it was spending too much money. Now, okay, maybe they are really concerned about the debt and like spending too much money and this burn pit thing. However, they sold it as they lied about how it was and they stretched the truth and they did these tricks and they tried to convince the politicians. They have to be well, like misleading on purpose. It's their job because they have to sell it. They have to get things done. They want the job done. And they have all these people at home where they're accountable to saying, hey, get this job done. We want this job done. And they don't understand that they're trying to solve problems for their area. And then their people are trying to solve problems for the whole country. And then, because that's the other thing too. Like I talk about donating old tech to, people that could use it. That includes people in other countries, but that is especially for people here. Like, again, remember those circles of accountability or circles of responsibility and not responsibility. That might be too strong of a word, but it is kind of, actually, no, it is responsibility, but not severe responsibility. There you go. So as long as you understand that, it's every American's responsibility to take care of themselves, their family, their community, their city, their state, and then their country. Now, how you do that, also, I know there's a wandering trader, but I haven't seen him in here, so. Oh, and that's also real quick why I have so many llamas is because I kill all the wandering traders. I usually trade with them and then I GTA them and basically kill them so they don't keep wandering around. So they don't smash my crops because as an NPC that doesn't know any better, they're not programmed to avoid areas and you can't tell them to. I kill them. I mean, this is a game. It's a simulation and that's why I do that. Now, I wouldn't, and I actually grew up with friends that would hunt. And they would go out and they would kill wild animals in the wild. I mean, yeah, they're wild. I also killed an animal with my car. I hit a deer going 80 miles an hour. So technically, yeah, I've killed a deer. I've killed two deer. Wait. No, I did just kill the one. My mom killed a deer too, also with a car, not with a gun. So right there, technically we've killed animals. I mean, we didn't want to. In fact, my mom especially so. She got kicked in the face and it broke her jaw. Like, so yeah, the deer fought back on accident because the deer was just trying to cross the street and she was just trying to drive around town. And there's so many deer up in Buena Vista. And so that's also part of why it's people's civic duty to kind of monitor the animal populations. Like without natural predators, the deer overrun, and then that starts taking away the resources. So to have a balanced economy, or no, not economy, a balanced ecosystem. Sorry, it's ecology is like the study of that. I'm pretty sure it was the class that I did in high school, and we talked about that with the Division of Wildlife's chief guy. I forget what they called it, like the chief of the division, because it's the chief of police is the top cop for the area. And we would call them stuff like that. Hey, top cop or something like that. Like, I mean, just jokingly, like, but in a friendly way. I don't know. But like, I don't know. And I wouldn't do that now because I've been in the city long enough to where I haven't seen him in a long time. So I wouldn't. And yes, I used to be friends with the former chief of police up in Buena Vista. Like, I mean, he's retired now, but I knew him back when he was just a beat cop. And a beat cop in Buena Vista is like you patrol the same two streets over and over and look for the same people that are causing problems. And then the problem solving, the solutions for up there are a lot different because it's like it's really everybody knows each other more, so they have a little more understanding, and so they're a little more patient. And I'm talking about finding people like blackout drunk driving, and maybe just I want to say that, but like I don't want to get anyone in trouble. But this is how it should be. I mean, even if you found someone blackout drunk, they should go sleep it off, and then get help. Like, but not like, and so that's immediately different from Fort Collins, where in the city we actually had the number one DUIs in the country. And granted, Colorado is ranked, I want to say, the number one state for crime in the country, but I'd say it's the safest place to live, really. I mean, and I've seen other states. I feel the safest in Colorado. Now, why? There's gangsters here. There's people that will kill you, but like, not really. I mean, you have to do something really dumb or say try to join a gang. Now that's the dangerous thing, and that's why Tookie Williams is up there in prison writing. And I don't even know if he's still alive. I should research that, and that's a sad thing. And it's definitely no disrespect to him. It's just the fact that I don't understand, or not understand, but I just don't know. See, I'm capable of understanding, but I don't have all the pieces to really understand. One, if his books are successful. Two, and I want to say no because and we briefly started talking about I had a project going where I had people in agreement both on the law enforcement side and the gang side about a project to reinstate officers that got fired for those actually let's talk about that real quick because that it was a project that never got off the ground and I want to be careful talking about it because I don't want to get my friend in trouble because so let's make this clear. She's not part of the gang. She's just related to a bunch of gangbangers and or whatever. Her brother was killed, shot and killed by in Denver for a gang thing. So trust me when I say this is very important that no, I don't want anything to happen to her or anyone. Like we need to stop the nonsense. So, but this project was actually it was pretty lighthearted. It was to paint a house that was bright purple, and then those cops painting the house as an apology to the black community. It was perfect. It was simple, and like everybody that I talked to like loved it, like including the homeowner. And well, I didn't talk to the cops that got fired, but I did talk to a cop that was on the Aurora Police Department. He's my buddy and still is. And and that was my in. And I was just like, yo, dude, what do you think about this? He's like, oh, that is so cool. Like, yeah, I'm like, but then they had that change in leadership. The chief down in Aurora changed, and there's a lot of controversy about her. And for whatever reasons, and honestly, I don't think my friend was a big fan, but the point is it didn't matter. Like, I don't know her. I don't care. I mean, I care as much as I hope my buddy's okay, and I hope the people of Aurora are okay. But that's it. And it's a tall order to keep everybody happy. And I understand that because I have so many friends and family in law enforcement and corrections. So again, sorry. But I also understand, and they do too. They see what they're doing to people. Like the more veteran cops, like they got so much, like they even have PTSD for what they've had to do to people or not what they had to do, what they did do because like stressful situations and mind you every single call they're on edge because they could get shot at, they could get stabbed, like or they could get stuff flung at them, bodily fluids. Like you don't know what these people go through until you sit there and talk with them. And it's like so a lot of people don't get that exposure, and we call those blind spots in computer science. Now a blind spot, oh by the way, the project never got off the ground and those 4 officers were still fired and nothing ever happened. I actually haven't talked to her for a long time, mostly because I was trying to distance myself because I didn't want to get her in trouble or get her killed or anything, like, so I kind of like, I even made a new Facebook and went crazy and stuff. And like, there's many reasons for that, but I separated myself on purpose because I wanted to protect her. And she was a close friend. It still is. I still consider her a close friend, but we just don't talk. But anyways, my point is I had an idea. I asked permission from the people involved. And I was working on the permission from the actual like police, side. I got an opinion, so I got permission from the other side, and then an opinion from the other side, and so I was trying to negotiate or broker a peace deal that benefited all communities. So right there, and that is from my business background in education. Now I'll bet you my buddy could do it too, but with his background in business as a business person, all his whole life because he worked in a shop. He owns a shop, like, and a few of the people I know have their own shops and their own businesses. So they understand, the Republican ideals. Oh, that's almost 30 minutes. I just got curious. I have an alarm. So let's keep this one right around 30 minutes because I ran out of water. But yeah, and that's how these are supposed to be, like 30 or 30-ish minutes. And it's also for anyone interested in doing these YouTube things, that's pretty comfortable for uploads because it takes about 4 hours to upload these things. So really, I'm recording these things like in the morning or whenever I do it, and then they upload way later. So really, a lot of the views are probably people in other countries anyway, or at least the initial ones. And even that, like, because I've been paying attention to a lot of the while I'm talking here, because I did the streaming. There's my actual alarm telling me to wrap it up. Oh, and that's nothing new. So any youngsters out there, we used to have award shows where they would have well, way back in the day they had a hook, a wooden hook where they would reach out and yank someone off the stage because they were taking too long to perform. Like their time was up, they needed to get off the stage, they might start getting booed, and it was actually to save them because they couldn't say like "hey" and interrupt the act, so they would yank them off the stage. Now, fast forward to the Academy Awards starts playing music that it's the wrap it up music because they want to politely tell people, "Hey, you've been talking for a while, give it a break." So, and that's good to also take breaks. So I'm going to go take a break, even though I'm playing video games and it's kind of like a break, but that's why watching streamers is fun too, but it's exhausting to stream. So heads up if you want to do something like that. All right, well, that's it for this one. I will see you in the next one. Ta ta.